So you've been in Bali?
Yeah.
How long were you over there for?
We spent just under a week in Bali.
Where'd you stay?
We stayed at the Grand Dinner.
Okay.
It was in Kuta. So it was the first time the kids have been to Bali since Winnie was 9 months last time she went. So
Yeah.
Doesn't remember it so well, yeah.
she may as well have never been. And Eden was 4. So we sort of wanted to stay Kuta and, we could walk everywhere and and we'd give them the real hardcore Bali experience.
Sure.
Yeah, cool.
That's fun for that age group though, I think. When they're 7 and 10 or 7 and 11.
Yeah, they're 7 and 10.
Yeah.
They loved her.
Yeah.
They absolutely loved her. And it was, it's a big eye opener for them as well. So
Sure.
Yeah, cool. Did they do much exploring?
heaps. So we just Corey and I, my husband and I, we if we go on holidays, we like to go places where we can explore.
Sure.
We don't.
Yeah,
we're
awesome.
not sort of just
staying in the hotel room.
Lie on a beach and be bored. No.
Yeah, no, it's awesome.
We like
I
to
like it.
eat. We like to sort of get out amongst it and so we're constantly walking everywhere and just checking the sights.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you eat some nice food?
We ate awesome food.
Yeah.
And it was actually this trip, usually we go, because I've been to Bali, I don't know, probably more than 10 times. I've been a lot of times. Same with Corey. And we got married in Bali.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So we've spent a lot of time in Bali, and we usually go and we take advantage of the fact that you can eat in really amazing places and it's still relatively inexpensive.
So much cheaper, yeah.
I know. And
I ate so much food when I went there.
beautiful restaurants,
Yeah.
beautiful restaurants. And this time though, because we've been on this massive road trip beforehand and spent $1 million on diesel, we were like, let's just go to all the warongs and just go super cheap and just eat heaps of mee goreng and.
It's so good though.
Do you know what? It was wicked because we were we actually ate at heaps of places that we, in the past we'd just be nah, and just walk straight past it.
Yeah.
Or I'd be oh my God, no, I don't trust that. And
The food's so yummy.
oh, totally. We had
Get
some.
the rice wrapped in the newspaper with the chicken. It's really good.
It is, and it's just it's so cheap. We went out on a date night and, date night, oh my God. But we had beers and, ate heaps and it was $20,
Because you can spend, we stayed Seminyak last time, but we were going over to Canggu a lot. And, you can still spend, it's obviously not the same as here, but you can spend $150 on
easy
dinner.
Easy. Well, the last time Corey and I actually went to Bali, we didn't take the kids. So this was I don't know, maybe 4 years ago. It was just after MKR. And we were there for a week with some friends and we were staying in a villa in Seminyak and we just ate at all Seminyak restaurants and,
Oh, nice.
I mean, it was awesome. It was delicious. I'm not going to lie, but it was so expensive at the end of the day. We still came home and we're what? Oh my God. Because, you can spend a lot.
It's kind of a different, you can go there and have the kind of, you basically be, in Bondi or, probably in Byron more likely.
Yeah.
But on the cheap.
Yeah.
Or you can go and get sort of the Indonesian experience.
Yeah. And that's the thing, we literally ate mainly Indonesian food and even just, it's so funny, the other day, yesterday my mum was talking to my daughter, Eden, and she got this soup, this Indonesian soup all the time. And it's a chicken soup and it probably would translate to just chicken soup, but
Sure.
it's called ayam soto, I think, or soto ayam. And I said it and she's that's wrong, Mum. And then she said it the right way. And I was oh my God, so they were sort of,
sure that means chicken soup.
they experienced something that they wouldn't,
That's cool.
Yeah, it was.
I suppose I should jump in and actually introduce you. We've got Bree May with us here today. Food According to Bree.
Yes.
All things food and cooking.
Yes.
Culinary delights. Cheers for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
No worries. Jumping back to Bali. So we went as a team, most of us here, 2 years ago.
Not me.
Actually, not most of us here. Two
Just
of us
missed
here.
out.
Yeah.
But so we've got Praz who works for us, lives over in Indo, not in Bali, but Bandung. But we go and meet him every year.
Awesome.
But he took us to some local spots. There's this one place I think it's called Mukbang. And all they do is this fish dish. And it's sort of, you get a piece of fried fish and a piece of dried fish. And then this sambal. And they're really famous for their sambal. I think it was $2. And that's probably, still Western prices.
Yeah.
But it was the best thing I'd eaten
Oh
the
my
whole
God.
trip. We'd eaten some nice places.
Yep.
But it was amazing.
Yeah.
But just super simple. And that's all they do, just that one dish.
You sort of need a local there to be able to tell you the places.
You'd never find this place.
No,
You'd never
no
go in
way.
there.
Well, the last time, actually one of the most memorable things we ate, when Corey and I were there last time together was our friend that we were over there with, Johnny, he was working in the mines in Darwin at the time. and one of his mates was just, I think I don't know if he had a property or villa or whatever, but he spent a lot of time in Bali, and he put us onto these satays in Seminyak, and it was like one of those carts that you would literally be like, I don't know about this.
Sure, yeah.
But we were like, okay, we're going to trust this, we'll give it a go. And they were the best thing. They were so delicious.
Nice.
So yeah.
I had a similar experience in Jakarta. It was kind of like that. I think you just had to kind of find the right food carts and also just eat the right things. Like, it can be a bit dodgy, but it's some delicious stuff.
Well, that's the thing. Like if you've ever experienced Bali belly, the real hardcore Bali belly.
I've been lucky. I haven't had it so far.
I have years ago, and it's not great.
I've had it traveling, in Thailand. I've had it. I got it in Thailand eating KFC, I reckon. I've been in Thailand for 2 weeks and eaten, everything, anything, and then had KFC with Nick, and got really sick.
That's not
good. It's kind of sad.
Yeah.
So what's been happening, Bree?
Not much, just work and kids and family and.
What did I see? I think I saw you at the barbecue comp. You were judging my food.
Yeah.
How was
was that a beer and barbecue?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
My, it's so delicious.
Yeah, it was good.
Honestly, I love doing stuff like that because it's and the passion that people put into it as well. Like, I mean, we knew you guys. You're there for hours. You don't sleep. It's just, How'd you go? You guys did well, didn't you?
Came third, yeah.
That's amazing. That's so cool.
Yeah, it was stoked.
Yeah, it was friggin' delicious. I love it.
I think it's funny. We did it. I judged the first time last year up at Port Macquarie. We're actually going up there in a couple of weeks to do the comp this year. I think it's different as a competitor because you've got that sort of critical eye, as you would probably do with some things. But barbecue's obviously its own kind of weird beast of a sort of culinary tradition. But
Corey, my husband, barbecues quite a lot, and I eat a fair bit of it. But I mean, I'm no expert by any means.
Sure.
But I mean, just going into something like that, you've just got to judge it based on how
does it taste?
Yeah, and you've just got to look at it like, okay, this is the criteria, and just being fair and taking into consideration all things. So.
I think we quite like Up in Smoke because I think Dougal gets kind of a good selection of and probably people that just like food in general and aren't just barbecue purists.
Yeah,
you get people that are just only into barbecue.
Yeah.
And they're sort of not that open to different flavors.
Yeah.
And, they just want the Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce.
Yeah. Well, there were things, and that's the thing. You can't even, you can't be swayed by anything or anyone else. You've just got to really base it on your own, personal opinions. So
it's interesting. A lot of guys will change up flavor profiles based off where they are. So there's a competition in Warracknaville, Creekside Hotel. And that's just all locals there. So people are just not putting spice in anything.
Oh, right,
tone it back a bit. So that's interesting.
Yeah. Well, there was a lot of different entries, and I mean, some of them were flavor wise were just different, and and then so but I mean, there's so many entries though, because the way that they do the judging, I mean, it's all spread out amongst everyone, so the different tables, you're all eating something different, so
it's fairly fair.
It
was a good event this year though, didn't you think? They're sort of growing every year.
It was massive. I mean, it's amazing. It's really good. I mean, anything like that is awesome for South Australia,
it really is. I think having stuff in winter's really good too.
I know, because we tend to just go home and sort of
It was a good night, but it was very cold.
Yeah. But barbecue warms you up.
Yeah,
so,
no, for sure.
It wasn't as bad. The last 2 years were a lot worse.
Oh, really?
Because last year was raining, but not too bad. But the year before was horrible.
Where else do you sleep when you're there? Is it under shelter?
Oh, we don't sleep.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They're barbecuing.
I had a little kip in my car, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, that's full on.
Well,
dedicated.
Where they did the judging this year, that was sort of in
right
the
stable.
And it was sort of in the stable bit, and there, was.
Tristan and Caleb had a little nap in the horse.
Yeah,
stable.
I was actually when we walked in, we were like, surely people have slept in here tonight, because it was all had a hay or not the hay, but the sawdust sort of that they put on the ground. It was all nice and fresh.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tristan had his swag set up in there. It was, Tristan in the manger.
Sounds cozy.
Yeah, it was good. It was. Yeah, it was. I think it's really nice to see all the the producers, all the craft beers, a lot of South Australian ones. It's sort of really growing that whole scene.
It actually really is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's there's heaps of good things happening here. So
we saw yesterday. So I live down south, but there's a new brewery restaurant opened up on Victor Harbour Road, just outside of Seaford.
Oh, right.
Into McLaren Vale. I think it's the old chef from Darry's Veranda.
Oh, right.
But that's just opened up. There's the new Little Rickshaw, new Vietnamese place down there. There's all these things just happening all over the place. It's exciting.
Yeah, it is.
Were you involved with Tasting Australia this year much? Or?
No.
Fair enough. That's really good too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting how much stuff's happening there.
Yeah. No, this year I wasn't involved.
Yeah.
I have been in the past.
Sure.
But yeah. It is, but it's awesome. Like, I mean, you know, I like going into the, you know, Victoria Square and eating because who doesn't?
Yeah,
it's delicious.
They actually copped really. When does that run? May, isn't it? It's like the weather was terrible this year. That must have been the only rain we actually really had.
How was it?
Yeah, because 2 times we were there and it was pouring. Sorry, my phone is going crazy in my pocket here. Excuse that. So what have you been up to work-wise? What's new?
Mainly just catering.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, my business I do a lot of different stuff. I suppose that's sort of the bones of my business. That's what I love being in the kitchen. I'm a feeder. I like to feed people. So
nice.
Probably that's been my main focus as far as my business. You know, it's what I put most of my eggs into that basket. But I'm still working with people doing other stuff. I do demonstrations, do workshops and things like that with people. And
So what kind of workshops?
I've actually got one tomorrow night. It's
Nice.
with Adelaide Appliance Gallery. So one of the appliance stockists that they have. I don't want to say it wrong. I'm probably going to. Schwiegen?
Schwiegen.
Yeah,
Nice.
I think yes, it is. It is. But they're Aussie owned. They're Aussie owned.
Yeah.
I'm just doing some workshops with those guys. Just cooking up some delicious stuff for people to eat and sort of teaching.
Using the Schwiegen goods.
Sorry?
Using the Schwiegen goods?
They're actually really amazing. Like when I went in there to check them out, I was like, okay, I need this range hood. You know, I'm giving them a big plug right now. But
I literally just bought a range hood last week.
There's a silent.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because my range hood at home, when I turn it off, I love listening to music and having things on in the background when I'm cooking.
Yeah.
And when I have my range hood on high, which you generally have to, otherwise it doesn't work. It's so loud.
And it sounds like it's about to take off.
Yeah. So if they're silent, it's awesome.
So I think the silent ones have a motor that sits up in the actual, in the flue in the roof.
Yeah. I'm not sure how they work, but they're good.
So what kind of stuff do you do catering mostly? Is it a mixed bag or?
It's such a mixed bag. It actually really every single job I do is different. So I call my catering bespoke because it's basically I write menus for my clients.
Right.
And
cool. So there's tons of variety.
Yeah. So it's
cool.
pretty
So what
much.
kind of things?
Oh God, it totally varies. I'll have clients that will come to me with a real specific sort of brief and be like, okay, this is our theme, or this is sort of, the way that we want to go with it. And then I'll design the food and the menu to suit what they've given me. Others are just like, Bree, we don't care. We trust you. Just do whatever.
Food,
yeah. Because it is the way that it is, I'm really seasonal and I'll sort of just, work with what's in abundance, things like that. But it's good because I can change it up all the time as well. I can get creative as well. And I'm always doing something different, which for me personally, because food's such a, I love food so much, and it is a real creative sort of expression for me, I guess, in a way. So it allows me to I never get bored.
Yeah, because I think that's the thing of catering versus opening up a restaurant.
Yeah.
If you're doing the same menu every day, it's still your passion, but it would slowly get a bit boring. I would imagine.
I think it would definitely wear on you for sure after years and years.
Well, people ask me, are you ever going to open a place up? And I mean, I think if I ever did, it would need to be something where I could chop and change my menu consistently because it's just
all specials.
Yeah. But I mean, I can't foresee that in the, I love the fact that catering takes me from place to place, and it's,
different people, different setup every time.
I meet so many different people, and
imagine you just get to be really creative as well. Just kind of come up with these different menus and different things.
And at the moment, grazing tables are a real big hit. Everybody loves them, but I can change it and just put whatever I sort of want on there, and change the flowers and just do. It's not a repetitive thing. So,
So how long have you been catering for?
4.5 years.
Cool.
Yeah.
So since MKR, basically?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And were you working in food before MKR, or is it just sort of always a passion?
I have had food jobs before. So, when I was younger, I left school really, really young. So I was like, I don't know, was I 14? I don't know.
Quite young.
I was. I did a term of year 11.
Yeah.
And no, I think I was 15. So but I sort of just turned, and it was because I just wanted to work.
Sure.
So.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And I went from that, and I straight away sort of got a job. I was like working as a kitchen hand and doing things
cool.
like
I've done
that.
that.
As a dishwasher. I've done jobs like that. I've worked places where I've done sort of the prep and things like that, but. Never like full on in like a huge sort of large kitchen.
Yeah, sure.
And then I think I did that for a while, and I've worked behind bars and things like that. I've done a lot of retail, but then I travelled quite a bit when I was younger. I don't know, when I was about 22 or so, just turned 22, I went overseas and worked overseas for a while. And when I got back, I went into travel and got a job as a travel agent.
Cool.
So I did that for over 8 years, and then MKR happened.
Nice.
So yeah.
Have you travelled a fair bit in the interim, or?
Since my kitchen rules, I haven't travelled much at all, and it's literally I'm going a bit stir crazy because it's something that when I was an agent, I used to you'd get a lot of for meals and things like that, and it was I wouldn't go longer than 6 months without getting my passport out, and now sort of with starting a business, obviously like it puts you in financial ruin for a long spell. Like just being honest. So, travel hasn't really been on the cards for us for a long time.
Yeah.
But this year we just went, you know what, let's just have a massive,
nice,
what, we've worked really hard. Let's just have a massive trip.
It's hard to find the time as well, isn't it? 'Cause you sort of heads in the game basically.
And it's sort of like for me especially, with catering, there's like, it is a tough gig. When you are self-employed and, it's all word of mouth and all the rest of it, you don't want to leave your business, because then you sort of have, especially if you have to turn away work or whatever. So, it's like that, sort of like,
balance,
Do you have people you can leave it with while you go?
No,
Yeah.
I don't have any.
So
I don't have a 2IC. It's pretty much it stops. So while I was away, anyone that wanted me to cater for them, I had to say to them like, I'm really sorry, I can't do it. And it's not, it's because I'm a small business, and it's just I do all my own prep as well. So
wow.
Yeah. So I get help at events.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I'll hire staff and I'll hire chefs to help me when I need, if it's an event where I need that extra hand. But fundamentally I'm sort of a one-woman show.
Sure.
So
Definitely.
yeah.
How much prep is generally involved in like an event?
Depending on the event, there can be quite a lot. I actually did a wedding at the start of the year. It was more than 200 people sit down, and I did all that prep myself.
Jeez.
That was a week.
What'd you serve?
I made gnocchi.
What?
I know, because like why not just
Glutton
go
for
crazy?
punishment,
Do you know what though? I actually, when I say that to people, they're like, "Oh my God, Bree," but I actually really love it.
Okay.
It's such a therapeutic thing for me, and and I seriously just can't believe how lucky I am to even be able to do what I love. So
that's exciting.
Yeah, it is. And, and I like to do things from the ground up. It's sort of, because I love doing it.
Yeah.
I just love doing it.
It makes a big difference, I think, at the event too. If people are going to have it, wow, this is really good gnocchi.
Yeah,
I think
it's handmade.
Weddings in particular, when you go to a wedding that actually has good catering, you remember it.
Well, that's it. And do you know, if the bride and groom as well, and I think, but I take this like point of view when it comes to any event. It doesn't really matter what it is. I do a lot of corporate stuff too, and my clients get me, and they're relying on me to also, deliver something that their guests will find memorable too.
Yeah, sure.
So to me, like I'll do everything to the best of my ability always because of that.
Definitely, yeah.
Even in the sort of, let's say, 5 years since you did MKR, do you think like people in general, like at a big catering event, so 200 people, their sort of palates have changed or their tastes have changed? Do people expect a higher quality from a catering gig now than they did maybe 5-6 years ago?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Like I think, I mean, I suppose it would depend on what your client's expectations are as well, I suppose, like not necessarily, I suppose some people will go just thinking, this is just going to be like whatever. But, I mean, I suppose like if people are going to entrust me to do they're catering for them, then I'm going to do it, to the absolute best.
Job. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm one of these people that like, it would literally like, if my client was like, was disappointed in my work, I'd be gutted.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know as a general, like a whole, but I think, I suppose at the end of the day as well, like it depends on what the client is expecting too.
Sure.
If someone's coming to you and saying like, I want you to do fillet steak, but I want to pay like,
nothing.
Yeah.
Like,
then
no.
it's like, well, yeah, look, at the end of the day, you need to be, if you're expecting a high quality service product, you need to understand that there's a cost associated with that.
Sure. Do you, you don't have to answer about how you pay for things, but if you have to make, say, gnocchi or hand-make pasta, does that factor into, I suppose, your time? I suppose it's just more time, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, like my time, obviously I have to when it comes to my pricing, my time is worth money.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
you look at things like that. I mean, I look at the produce that I use as well. I don't use, I'm always sourcing the best that I can get. I get everything fresh. If I'm serving steak, I'm going to serve the best steak I can give, so it's, all these things play a part, and I suppose when you're doing, depending on sort of what sort of niche you're going to put yourself in business wise, when you start putting yourself in that sort of premium niche, you are putting yourself in a niche. Do you know what I mean? Like there's,
sure.
But it also puts you in a situation where like people will be really only willing to pay for your services if they've been recommended by somebody that they trust, or or if they've had first-hand experience with you. It really is like, it's one of those things where it's just been, I've just been building it gradually over time. How
do you go about cultivating the relationships with the suppliers? Like, do you through the markets, or you?
I'm a loyalist.
Yeah.
When I find someone that gives me a product and I trust their word and I trust what they're giving me, then I'll keep using them. And I just, I've got some really amazing suppliers and I love working with them. And but different people can supply different things for you. So it makes sense to sort of have varied relationships, obviously. Like, you don't like just have one person who gives you everything. But again, it's just over time. Like you just
definitely.
build.
I was going to say, has there been like a lot of change as well? Like you kind of experiment, like different people can get you.
Yeah, I mean, like I've found people, I was actually pretty fortunate that like early on I found people that I trusted and I, liked working with, and I really loved their products. So, but new people come into the mix, and because something will come up, a job will come up, and I need a specific thing that I can't get from them, or or I'll meet a new supplier and I'll start using them for whatever reason. Like, so I do have different suppliers that I use for different things. But I think it's just it's like anything, you just form relationships. So
there's so much good stuff around.
We're so lucky. We are so lucky. Yeah.
And where do you find, like, obviously you do quite a bit of recipe development and try and do new stuff. Like, where do you find the inspiration for that?
I've got like literally a wall of cookbooks at home.
What are some favorites?
Oh my God. Now you're like, do you know what? Today I was looking at
top 10.
I love them all. I love them. Do you know what? You're my top 10 my top 10 cookbooks. I can give you my top 2 off the top of my head.
Okay.
The Margaret Fulton cookbook.
Oh, classic.
Do you know what? Honestly, like I get inspiration for making pikelets, etc. from that. That's like a totally nostalgic thing. And the Women's Weekly party book, and for the exact same reason. It changes. Like I'm constantly picking up new ones, and because I have so many of them, I have hundreds. If you came to my house, you'd just be like, "What the?"
So do you find you have a lot of time for like research and kind of experimenting in your own time?
Do you know what? I'm constantly always cooking. And obviously, like because I do cook in my spare time as well. You're constantly learning. I mean, I don't think there'd ever be a time when you stop learning. I did something the other day, and I learned something from someone who was in the crowd. I was saying something about making stock, and she was like, "Bree, by the way, do you know that if you do this, and I was like, "Wow," So it's literally like everywhere I go, everyone I work with, I'm always picking people's brains, and it's just, I think I wasn't a very good student at school. I was terrible. Like, you don't want to see,
enjoy it?
You really don't want to see my report card. Sorry, Mum. But now, I'm like a voracious student. Like I just
find something that you love. So.
I just love it.
Once you become interested, it's so much easier. To get into it.
So it's like I absorb everything, and I just constantly. I watch so much Food Channel. Like it's literally always on Food Channel. But it is like you'll be watching it and there'll be, even just watching sort of bizarre foods or something, and it'll be like, that's something I've never seen before, and you just, you never know what you're going to
pick up new things.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, going back to like my, that was a very long-winded answer, but like going back to where I get my inspiration from, it's definitely like cookbooks, like other chefs, like my family, my friends.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Pretty much everywhere.
I think it's funny. I often find that we go back and look at old cookbooks. So a bunch of stuff we bought from like, charity stores, whatever, old French cookbooks, old Margaret Fulton. But I feel like the recipes, there's no waffle there. It's like, here's the recipe, and they're tested pretty well. They work. Whereas a lot of new cookbooks are really interesting to read. But I feel like the recipes themselves are either really overcomplicated.
Yep.
Or, I don't know, they're a bit too involved. Whereas...
And do you know what? I actually apply that quite often to like my own, when I write recipes for people and, for demos and things like that, and they're for the public. I always think, because I am a self-taught cook. So, I learnt from these recipes, and for me, like a recipe should be a guide anyway, it should be 100%. Something that you can like take things from it and go, do you know what? I love this recipe. I'm going to cook it as it is. Or I might change this and I might change that. And you can actually do that without completely like destroying it.
Yeah, sure.
For the home cook. I mean, there's obviously a time and a place. Like there's people that want to go that extra mile, get real sort of, crazy. But
no, that's the best way to cook too. I think, do have some fun and like, change things up a little bit, make it yours.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, applying, taking the fundamental basics and then changing it to sort of, match your own needs and, your own tastes and your family.
It's hard when you find people that are, that are frightened of cooking for whatever reason. They're like, I'm not a good cook. I suppose it's the same as anything. If you think you're not good at it and you get that in your head, well, I'm not good. I'm not good at something.
Practice,
I'm not good at drawing or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
But cooking, and then so I know people, and then they'll get a recipe, and they just want to follow it to the to the T, like they measuring salt. And it's like there's certain things I think you just need to learn, like sort of innately, and then you're right. It's just a guide that you sort of follow and make it your own.
And that's, I mean, when people are like that, like that's, I think. The way, when I do demonstrations and things like that, I mean, people watch me like the amount of salt I put in or the way that I do it. I'll be like, you can change this, you can change that. Like I won't even necessarily always follow my own recipes in a demo. And it's like, and I suppose I do that as well to show people like you can change stuff, you know.
Well, I think part of, the skill is knowing where you can break the rules as well. Right? Yeah. Knowing where you can.
And how to fix it.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, some things are unfixable, but, most things are fixable in some some respect.
It's a really good recipe in the David Thompson cookbook, making like nam jim, like the spicy, and he just goes through and sort of add.
Is that the Thai street food one?
Yeah,
I've got that.
That's a really nice book.
It's a beautiful book.
So you add one scud chili, add some palm sugar, and just add the lime if it's too spicy, and there's how to balance it and go forward. But it's a really cool way of just going through and actually seeing like what the flavor profiles are and how to kind of get there.
And that's the thing. I mean, it is down to your own personal taste too. Some people don't eat salt or they don't like salt. So someone like me who's a complete salt fiend, my food they might eat it and be like, oh my God, so it just, and like, I love chili. So, but I can't, like, chili is like my greatest love. Yeah. But my family aren't huge fans. I know. So when I make curries and things, I'll just like sprinkle extra chili on top for me because like, even, my husband, he's not anything spicier than sort of a butter chicken and he's not keen. So,
Do you have a garden? Do you grow stuff?
I do. I grow chilies. Yeah. I've got a few different types of chilies in there. My garden at the moment is a bit of a travesty.
Oh, mine's weeds.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
It's a lot of upkeep for sure.
Yeah.
It is like we built our place, I don't know, like 4 years ago, just before we actually moved in the week before the MKR final. Wow. I know, it was crazy. I was like, I had to hire one of those when we moved in. We didn't have the gas on, so the night of the grand final, I had to hire one of those ensuites. The like portable ensuite, and our whole driveway was just mud, and I was like up to my knees in mud going to this ensuite, like just trying to like make myself like get presentable. But we've done the interior. Our exterior is still like we live on like the side of a hill, and it's sort of like sort of semi-rural. So my whole garden is in pots at the moment because there's like really not anywhere else to put it. It's just
chilies like pots.
Well, that's it. I've got chilies. I've got herbs. I've got I actually just planted some raspberries and some gooseberries as well. Nice. So yeah, I tend to sort of like I like to plant things that, I wouldn't necessarily that aren't as simple to buy as well.
Yeah, definitely.
I think when you try and do, I think like chilies, lemongrass, those kind of like all the herbs, they make a lot of sense. If you try and do like, I don't know, bigger crops of things like carrots, you never get enough, and it's always
I think
toil.
Growing carrots is so unsatisfying.
No, it's really satisfying if you actually get it.
I could do it.
Do you know how much? I long for it. Like my husband and I, we dream of being able. Like I want a massive orchard. I want all these things. Like what I dream of is like a caged orchard.
Yeah, nice.
So I can just have all my chooks running down in the bottom of it, and just not have to worry about the birds coming and eating all my fruit.
Sure.
But I'll just kick the table. Sorry. But I can't wait to sort of be able to grow all my own stuff like that. But it's it won't happen where we're at now. It'll happen when we move to the next place.
I think it's time consuming as well. Like we've done like cucumbers for pickles the last 3 years, and sort of slowly expanding to the point, because my wife's into food as well. Like, well, we've just been giving them away for now. But now this year we had like a lot, and I was coming home from work and being like, I'm gonna make pickles again. Just like piles of pickles everywhere, like
cucumbers.
Yeah, it just becomes like a bit of a chore.
You can do lots of different pickles.
We did lots.
Yeah.
The last 2 years we've just trialed lots of stuff and not documented it well enough. So this year we need to actually write down.
Yeah, right. Do you know, anytime I do a recipe like that is really quite like, I need to remember my measurements. Yeah. I have this little black book or I'll have like my notebooks next to me, and I just I don't even write the method. I'll just write the ingredients, because you'll remember the method. The method's easy. It's what you actually put in it.
I have these arcane notes on the top. It'll be like, Sam made lots of love. Like, what does that mean?
Chili, a little salt.
Is that the one I gave you, said? Chili, little salt.
That was good.
I want some of these pickles.
I'll give you some. Sure.
You give it to everyone. Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, delicious.
That's a good segue for your ketchup.
Do you know what? Like seriously, like pickles and anything pickled and like all that sort of stuff.
I love pickles.
So do I. They're delicious. And especially like your barbecue pickles with smoked meat is just like, oh my God.
We did some cool stuff this year. So we had heaps of cherry tomatoes. So we did green tomatoes, so green cherry tomatoes. They're really good. Texturally, they're a bit funny. They're hard to keep crisp because obviously the tomato, but then deep fried, they're amazing. Yum. And the best thing was spring onion bulbs. So like the bottom of the spring onion pickle. Because they do ramps in America. It's basically the same thing, I think. So pickled, it's like a slightly sweet pickle. They're really good.
Yum.
Really, really yummy.
Oh my goodness.
And radishes. Actually, we pickled a lot of stuff.
Yeah, yum.
There's a lot of pickling.
Yeah.
It's the pickle garden.
Yeah. But it's perfect with like pulled pork and,
And hot sauce. But hot sauce is hard, I think, because it's hot, right?
Yeah.
Like it's hard to... I've been trying to do some fermented stuff, but I'm struggling to get the balance right. Like it keeps the molding up.
Especially, and when you're using like actual sort of chilies as well. Like I did this hot sauce recently for a client. It was like part of the menu was just this ridiculous hot chili sauce that I did. And it was pretty hot. Like I literally I can tolerate a fair bit of chili. Yeah. And this thing, like even when I was just testing it, I just sort of like licked the back of the spoon, and then half an hour later I had stomach cramps, and I was like, so I actually wrote a waiver, and I was like,
love it.
Anyone who eats this needs to sign this waiver saying like they won't hold me liable if they, have like health issues later. Because, people have a few drinks, they'll be like, like all over their taco.
That'll be Krista.
I can handle it. Yeah.
But it was crazy the amount of chili I had to get in it to get it to that point. Wow. Even like I put like Ghost and like Trinidad
chilies.
Scorpion, like Carolina Reaper in them, like pretty much everything was in there. Like, and it was like pure chili with a bit of vinegar.
Yeah, we did. I remember when I worked at Jasmine, like in the Indian restaurant, we did a similar thing. We had this curry. You have like 9 different chilies in there, and they made it so you literally couldn't eat it. They were like, if you can taste this and eat it, the whole thing is not good enough. Like some people were crazy though. There's like one old lady came in, she would eat that and put more chili on top.
Oh my God.
Some people are intense.
Was that palate just gone? Did she?
I don't know.
Maybe
I don't understand.
It's not I love chili, but I don't like it like hurting.
No. Well, this chili, the one I made, it actually tasted all right too, but it was just really hot. But
some of those, like the Trinidad Scorpion, we grew some of them and habanero Scotch bonnet. Like they've got really nice flavour.
Yeah,
they're just spicy.
Yeah, they're just really hot. I mean, look, I love my chili, but for me, the reason why I love chili is because it's a sensory thing. Yeah, like it's not just the hotness; it's like that tingle and the flavour and everything like that. So I tend to like things like jalapeno and stuff. I'll put all over everything. Like I love it.
Pickled jalapenos.
Yeah. Really oh my goodness. Yeah. Like anything like that. And like I love my hot curries and things like that. I'll put like pepper flakes pretty much just on, avocado on toast and things like that.
Sure.
But yeah, like you wouldn't see me just like swallowing a habanero for the hell of it,
I hate watching those videos. People doing that.
I know when you watch Man vs. Food, it's like, oh my God, he must have had the worst stomach ulcers.
I remember trying California Reaper one time. Like I bought some at Coles and I tried some with my little brother. I was like, before I put this in food, I'm just going to try a little bit. Oh, it's so bloody hot.
That is so evil.
It's intense.
Yeah, that's not nice.
Well,
that's not a nice feeling.
Do you ever go to Chilli Mojo out on? Like
they sponsored us.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Wicked. They're awesome. And they're like, when I was in there getting all the stuff for my like extreme chili sauce, I was like, okay, what's the hottest thing you got in here? And he's like, we've got this, Bree, and it was like this oil that extracted from the chili. So it was like literally there was no actual solid. It was just pure fire. And I was like.
Wow.
Yeah.
How much did you try?
No, you couldn't. I didn't get any of that. I was like, I'll just take this jar of pure like Reaper and, put that in there instead, No, it was like, but in that situation, I mean, can you imagine?
No.
Imagine just like, putting it in a shot glass and
make
going,
that?
Here, have this.
People are gluttons for punishment, aren't they? People like it.
I wonder how much they sell. Yeah, who would be?
It was behind locked door, behind like a,
Oh, you want this.
yeah, like this is like the real like epic stuff,
Special stuff.
Oh, jeez.
So tell us about the ketchup that you make.
Yeah, so I handcraft it, so I do it all myself. It's
Nice.
They're all my recipes. It's funny how I fell into it.
It's all handmade.
It's all completely,
Oh, wow, cool.
and that's when I tell people about it, it is 100% a labor of love. Like
Sure.
it's not one,
It's like a commercial,
it's
viable operation.
well, no, not at the moment. And that's people are like, well, what are you doing with them? And it's like, well, do you know what the hardest thing is that like when you're looking at being, I have to look at things from a business standpoint as
Sure.
well. It's something that I do. I'll continue doing them because people love to eat them. But it's, when I look at what I put into it as far as like financial and time,
isn't it?
It doesn't pay me anything,
No.
It is literally just something that I just love the fact that people enjoy eating them. So
And it's the scale. Even looking at how expensive the jars are.
Yeah.
Unless you're buying like crazy
Well, that's
bulk.
it.
Like instead of $2 a pop for for the jar.
Yeah.
You've been through that. We had like 2-3 crates of jars in the office at one point.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have to get them by the pallet load,
Yeah.
and it's just like, and then you've got to, and it's not just the cost of the, what people don't factor in is, okay, you get this price for the cost of the jars, but then you need to pay for delivery.
Yeah.
And when you're getting a pallet, you need to get a special, you can't just go in the back of a courier truck. And so you've got that, and then you've got your lids, and then you've got your printing as well of your labels and and then, when you're doing something food service as well, you need to get a certain type of label because otherwise if they're not good quality, they'll start wrinkling and bubbling in the fridge. So, then you have to pay for like a decent paper stock. So labels can actually cost as much as the bottles.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then you factor in because, the way that because my recipes are what my recipes are, I use a lot of fresh tomatoes. So I hand peel all the tomatoes.
Whoa.
So
labor of love.
yeah, totally.
That's a lot of work.
And if you know how to peel a tomato, it's like you have to core it, you have to put a cross of the bait, then you've got to blanch it, and then it's so all of that. And because they aren't something that I make money off of, I do it myself because I don't want to then go into a deficit because I'm paying someone else to help
Sure.
me.
Yeah.
So
It makes you worry, I think, about how cheap stuff is though in the supermarket.
Yeah.
You go in and you're like, well, this shouldn't be this price.
well, that's the thing. I mean, and when things are like a large scale operation, it's different. And if someone gets a factory or someone that's already set up to make products
Sure.
to take on board their product and do their recipe for them. But I mean, I suppose I still want to keep control and hold of it.
that's right.
It's mine, and I because I don't have an operation set up where I can do things large scale.
Yeah.
Literally, like if I spend 3 days in the kitchen, and I'm talking hours, I'll get about 800 bottles. So it's not really viable for me to get it, to push them in a commercial sort of way yet.
Yeah. I was gonna say, do you see opportunities for scaling?
Absolutely. But I just, for me, my biggest thing is I just want, my business to be something that I don't, that I'm in control of and that I don't owe anything on as well. So I'm a patient woman.
Yeah.
I'm happy to do things
Build it slowly.
Yeah.
It's the best way to go though.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
There's no point sort of getting yourself in huge amounts of debt. And
No. And then, and then you're worrying and it just takes everything out of it, drains the love out of what you do. I mean, I I've been in business for a lot of years. My husband and I had a roofing business for a long time, and
cool.
You know, I learned a lot of lessons from that as well. And it's sort of, you know, now coming into this business as well, the thing that, you know, I do love about it is the fact that I don't have any of those sort of worries, you know. It's you know, and that's the way I'd like to keep it.
There's less overheads, isn't there?
Yep. And I mean, look, it limits me to an extent because I can't, you know, until I'm ready for expansion. But I mean, I've got a game plan. You know, I'm happy to stick to my plan and, you know, just you know, wait until the time's right, and then, you know, move to, you know, stage 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever you'd consider it.
Yeah.
How much, especially coming out of MKR, I suppose, which is pretty great exposure for you. But how much do you have to market yourself, and how big a part of that of your business has that become these days, like Instagram and? Yeah,
I mean, look, do you know what? Instagram, I think it is important. Like, you know, definitely you'd be crazy not to use it as a business tool. I mean, obviously, like I'll post things, you know, different stuff that I make and different jobs that I do. You know, it's a way for clients to find me and also for them to see my work, and, you know, of course you use it as that tool. I think because my business as well is really very much revolved around me too, I think with like I mean, I can't speak on behalf of anyone else's social, but with my own, like it is me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's my humour. It's not everyone's going to get it. You know, people
I think
might.
That's the best way to do it, though.
Yeah, you know,
be yourself, be genuine.
Yeah, and you know, like I'll post whatever. Like, you know, I'm sort of like past the point of being like, oh, I better not post that. Someone that might turn off a client. You know, like I sort of have that, you know. Thought process now.
I think people appreciate that though as well, for sure.
Yeah, you know, like if people want to work with me, they want to work with me. If they want to align their brand with mine, like then, you know, I'd want them to like. Here I am, you know. I
actually think that's just very good marketing advice in general. I think a lot of businesses go and say, well, and obviously if you're starting a brand, then you do have to sort of, you know, create an identity around it. But I think people are too precious of that and worry too much. I think it needs to be more corporate.
Yeah, really curated or whatever. Yeah.
I mean, sure, to an extent, but it's better coming from someone's actual personality and being, you know, of something as opposed to just
I'd say that's even like an advantage of being a small business.
Like,
you know, you can
100%.
be just personal and show yourself. Whereas, you know, big companies have to kind of, you know, appeal to everyone and like you said, be more corporate.
Yeah.
And obviously Adelaide is a word of mouth market, right? Like I imagine most of your business comes from word of mouth.
100%. Like it's like 100% of my business. Yeah. So yeah, and it's, you know, I mean, look, like I said, there'll be people that will be drawn to me through like Insta or whatever. But I mean, like I said, when it comes to, and no, I won't say 100% of my business because I do get work from that, but it's generally more like the sort of personal sort of like not so much my catering as much, but more maybe someone wanting to work with me in a personal capacity or me sort of, you know, just doing demonstrations or like working with their brand or whatever. So, you know, I mean, like I said, that's why for me, I just think, you know what, it's like, you know, I'd rather just be like authentic to who I am in all of those aspects. Pretty much the only thing I don't do on there that I do like a bit in general is swear.
You can start doing that.
Nah.
So how about the ambassador work you were doing? So it's for Brand South Australia you're doing stuff?
So I work with those guys as an ambassador for I Choose SA. And I mean, like, again, I suppose it's you know, I do promote and do support this state a lot. So I guess it's a good fit.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And those guys are awesome. They've been awesome to work with. They're just, you know, they've been really, really supportive of me as well. So
nice.
Yeah. So, but I work with Bone Health Foundation as well.
Yeah, cool.
I'm an ambassador for them.
So what kind of thing does that involve?
So Bone Health Foundation, basically, like I got involved with these guys. Actually, when you were asking about Tasting Australia before, like I didn't work with them this year, but last year I actually did, and I actually was doing some kids workshops in the Taste Buds area, and it was in collaboration with Bone Health Foundation.
Cool.
And so I worked with those guys on that, and then they were like, Bree, you know, we really liked working with you. You know, do you want to get on board and like help us sort of spread our message? And it actually is a message that I do believe in. It's once I sort of heard the statistics about, you know, like as far as like monetary, like what it costs, like it's in the billions. What bone like. And, you know, because people think about bone health, they, you know, people like hear about like, you know, old people like breaking their hips and whatever. And you're like, oh, you know, it's just an old person sort of thing. But it's all got to do with like bone density and osteoporosis and all that sort of stuff. Sure. And the thing is like bone is a living tissue. So it's something that you can continually, you know, you can repair damage that's been made. So, you know, they are sort of pushing towards like,
It's more like a lifelong thing, I guess.
Well, it's something that everyone needs to think about. And the thing is, like, you break a bone, it's bloody painful, you know? If you can do things to minimize that happening to you, like, you know, when you think when you're little and you fall over or whatever, like, I think of some of the, like, you know, the accidents that I've had, you know, whether I've been, you know, had a couple of wines or whatever.
Yeah.
Sure.
But, like, where, you know, because you're young, you've got, like, you know, that bone density or whatever, you might, like, you know, hurt your ankle or whatever, but you're not going to break it.
Sure.
Once you get older, like you just snap like a twig, you know.
Yeah, right.
This is not something I've ever thought about.
No,
before.
but this is the thing.
Yeah.
I know.
I'm like, oh.
But this is the thing. I mean, like, you know, if you have a calcium-rich diet and you know you start like worrying about and thinking about those things, then you know you can actually improve it. And you know, but their push is a lot on like the younger generation too. Sure. So you know, really like parents educating their children.
Yep.
You know, get off the iPad, go and like get some exercise. You know, eat your greens, eat some. You know, if you don't eat dairy, there's still so many other ways to get your calcium. So
one of my little brother broke his wrist in the same place 3 times. And then what they were saying is you need to just have more practice, like being outdoors, you know, falling over, doing sports, things like that.
Well, this is, do you know what?
So you know how to like fall over and not break your arm.
I mean, like people are going to have injuries and people are going to break things, you know, whether you're a baby or, you know, you're 60 or whatever, but it's like, it's just the fact that it's bone health is something that, you know, you can't live without your bones, you know, it's really an important thing.
Sure.
And looking from a purely sort of economic sort of standpoint, like the public health system, I think bone-related injuries and, you know, the treatments, et cetera, associated with them, it cost, you know, Australian taxpayers something like $3 billion last year.
Yeah, wow.
So, like, you know, when you look at it like from that point of view as well, it's like, it's crazy.
I'm going to look into it.
Yeah, do it.
Super interesting.
Yeah, do it. But, and I work with the Hospital Research Foundation as well as an ambassador for those guys too. So, yeah.
Nice. Doing good work as the ambassador.
Spread the word.
Yeah.
Do you eat out much or you?
I do, but do you know what? You'd be surprised. Like I go to the pub near my house. Yeah, I do. When, you know, like I am a massive homebody and I do, you know, if I'm not at work, I'm one of these people that I just love to sort of like, you know, like crawl into
chill.
Be with my kids and be with my husband and you know, when you sort of work for yourself as well, like it's, you know, you're present but you're not always present, you know. Sure. Like so, you know, but yeah, I don't eat out as much as I would like to.
It's hard though. It's hard to like, especially because I don't live in the city. I think if I lived in the city, I'd eat out more.
Yeah,
it's expensive too.
It is expensive.
Yeah,
it does.
That's the biggest thing for me. Yeah.
Do you eat out much?
Not a lot. Yeah, definitely not as much as I'd like to. Yeah.
Even just, you know, it's like quite often, like if Corey and I go out, we're just like, we crave things like, you know, Chinese or dumplings or whatever. I eat heaps of dumplings. My kids love dumplings.
Dumplings are the best.
I know, right? So yeah, we go to Chinatown a bit and
cool.
But yeah, we've got a pretty good pub near our house, so we'll go there. Yeah, but I mean, I'm a pretty no frills kind of like person. Just give me a good meal, you know.
Yeah.
I think especially Asian food, but you don't need to have, you know, anything fancy. Like it just needs to taste good.
Yeah, it needs to be just delicious.
Yeah. I've been eating heaps of Szechuan stuff lately. I love Szechuan.
Yeah.
But I was trying to find like where in Adelaide actually has good places. There's a place on the corner of Oaklands Road and South Road in that sort of shopping centre there. Near Coles. It's called Yummy Box Eye.
Oh.
It looks like it's been there for years. Like we always used to drive past it on the way to work. It looks, and I was like,
the one on Dawes Road. That corner. Yeah.
Yeah. So corner of. Well, it's corner of Oaklands and South.
Oh, hang on, Oaklands and South.
Yeah, so the one that comes off towards Marion, not on the other side.
Hang on, I'm trying to, because I live in Happy Valley, so I literally drive down there every day.
Is it Marion? Oh, sorry, Marion and
South.
Oaklands Road and Marion Road. So where Oaklands hits.
Yeah.
Like near where the overpass is.
Yeah.
In there, and it's awesome.
Yummy Box Eye. All right, I'm gonna head there.
Yeah, all right.
I went there 2 Saturdays ago. I drove from my place, but half an hour to go get noodles.
If they're good, I'll drive anywhere for a good meal.
It was packed, and I had to wait for like 40 minutes. It was kind of frustrating long wait, but I was watching the guy cook, and this old dude with the woks, and it was good, really good food. Yeah, delicious.
Well, I'm going there.
Yeah, try it out.
See, I'll travel for a good meal.
Yeah.
Like when we were in Bali, we went to we went into, I wanted like babi guling, and we went into, delicious. We had one at our wedding.
Oh, really?
Yeah. When my husband, his only request was that it had an apple in its mouth. And they were like, why? So it came out, this big suckling pig. But anyway, we went to Ubud and we went to a place called, I don't want to say this wrong because it could turn out really bad. Gung Chung. Yeah, Gung Chung. So there's like Ibu Oka, I think it is. I reckon it's Ibu Oka. There's like two places in like Ubud that are quite known for their sort of babi guling, but this place was like we drove for ages to get there. It was like we spent like an hour and a half or so in the car.
It's crazy how long it takes to get up to it with the traffic.
It was so good though. Honestly, nice. It was delicious. It was worth it. It was worth the drive.
Worth the journey.
Yeah. And then we went to the monkey forest, and both my kids had their ice cream stolen.
Oh no! You gotta watch those monkeys.
I know. My eldest had we went and got those there's a place that does like the Mexican paletas, like the proper sort of Mexican ice blocks, and they're so good. And we were eating them.
The monkeys know.
No, we actually got them. It's outside of the forest, and we were walking. We needed to go back around to a different part to meet our driver. And my husband's like, "Oh, let's take this shortcut," and it sort of cut through the forest. And I'd already demolished mine, so because I just eat things so fast. And Eden was standing there. She was down to the last sort of bit because it was like a strawberry and a kiwi fruit one. So she'd gotten down to the kiwi fruit, and this monkey just came running out of nowhere, and we're like, throw it on the ground, give it to the monkey. We're freaking out, and so she just threw it down like a hillside. And then my youngest daughter had just the last of her sort of ice cream cone. She'd had some dragon fruit gelato or something. And then another monkey came for that, and she threw that, and they were both crying. They were like, now they're just like...
I'd be crying.
Nah, they're not keen.
Full-on monkeys.
Yeah.
They're so bloody confident. They just jump on your shoulders and take your stuff. It's ridiculous.
So crazy. I had a backpack on, and I was standing in there, and I was like, oh my God, Corey, take a photo. It's on my back. And then it unzipped my backpack and took out my hand sanitizer. And I was like, no.
Going for the passport.
Yeah. Oh, do you know, it was good though, because the pocket that I had the hand sanitizer in also had money. So it just went straight for the hand sanitizer. But I was so worried. I was like, don't eat it.
And now they're very hygienic as well.
Well, I was just worried it was going to drink the hand sanitizer, but it knew how to unscrew the lid and everything. It was they're crazy. They're so cute though.
Too smart for their own good. Jeez.
They are.
They're cute.
They are cute, but they're naughty. Very naughty.
That's it there because I think they're just used to it.
Can you imagine? There must be somewhere where they stash all this stuff. They just have it'd be Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah. It always comes back and says, no more hand sanitizer. I told you to get the passport.
Stupid monkey.
You left the coins. You left the money.
Do you think they ever get trained to do it?
Maybe.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
It seems like a good plan.
Well, it's changed a bit. I don't know. Have you guys ever been to the monkey forest?
In Auburn?
Yeah. It's actually the last 6 months they've actually changed it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's how you used to be able to go in and you'd buy bananas and you'd sort of take them in, and there was just monkeys everywhere, and it was just bit of a total free for all. I think the government's actually cottoned on to the fact that it's a real draw card. So they've actually got you have to pay sort of they've got
really?
It's like a proper sort of conservation park now. So there's only certain areas that you can walk through it. You still see a lot of monkeys. It's not the same. Yeah, it's different to how it used.
Monkeys jumping in your hair.
They can still they can still jump in your hair, but it's just sort of it's set up a bit more for conservation now, which is good in a way. It's not as good as as a visitor. It was cool when you could just see them bombing into into pools and just being crazy monkeys. So but so it's a bit different now, but definitely still worth going to.
Yeah.
Bali's good fun.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love seeing all the animals in Indonesia too. You're right, the monkeys, orangutans.
Don't even get me started on the orangs.
Komodo dragons. Whatever the giant lizards are. Monitor lizards. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't say any monitor lizards.
I wasn't so much in Bali though.
No. Have you been up to...
I've been to where'd I go? I went to Jakarta.
Oh yeah, you did
Bali
that
a little bit. Went to Sumatra.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
so you saw the orangutans?
Yeah. It was.
That is my
really cool,
number one dream.
Yeah, we saw an orangutan with a little baby. They came down from the tree and they took the bananas and ran back up. It was cool. Yeah.
They're the best. They are the best animals. I love them.
Yeah, very cute.
That is cool.
They're amazing.
That's a bucket list.
Do you know that they're 97% got the same DNA as us?
Oh, I think monkeys in general. It's so weird.
Yeah, but orangutans in particular have they're our closest relative.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. That's interesting.
Yeah.
You can see it though when you see monkeys stealing your stuff. They're smart.
Yeah, they are. They're super smart.
That's what I do if I lived in the trees.
Better wash his hands after touching all the dirty tourists. All right. Well, I think we've got to wrap it up in a second. But what would be your final meal if you have to have one meal every day for the rest of your life? What would you cook?
What would I cook, or would I have someone cook for me?
Someone cook for you?
All right. I would have an amazing sourdough with like really just the best butter that you could literally get on earth. And I'd have a bucket of prawns.
Wow. That's pretty good. Nice. Okay. And if you had to cook yourself, because you're not cooking sourdough every day.
I couldn't cook sourdough. I actually once tried to someone gave me a mother and oh God, I killed it. Baking's like my Achilles heel.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh God, if I had to cook it myself, a roast.
Yeah.
It wouldn't matter what roast it was, just a roast with all the trimmings. Definitely.
Yeah. I think that's the thing that, because we do so much barbecue, but then we just did a roast last weekend and it was just simple and we didn't worry about it. I was like, this is better than most of the barbecue we do.
It's so delicious. And I grew up on roasts, so it's like, it was one of the first things that I learned how to cook really. Because, as a child, my mum sort of was like, we'd have to take it in turns to help with dinner and all that sort of stuff, like from a really early age. So, there's a lot of nostalgia wrapped around roasts for me, but I just think they're so tasty. I mean, like when you get a perfectly cooked leg of lamb and it's got those crispy, lamby fat on the outside and then beautiful, like pink in the inside. Oh, God.
There's some bread and butter with that too.
Yes.
Awesome. So if people want to find out about your catering, foodaccordingtobree.com.
Yes.
And on Instagram, food according to Bree.
Yeah, everything's food according to Bree.
Nice, easy to find.
Yes, I am.
Thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks heaps for having me.
No worries. Cheers, Christo.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.